So we got the first international break of the season right around the corner, but before that we've got a big weekend of championship action. Let's talk about it. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. We are back again for our weekly championship score predictions. As always, make sure to get your guys' score predictions in the comments down below and get yourself into the prediction league. As always, if you do want to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. If we get it 400 likes on today's video, that would be massively appreciated. And before we jump into anything, let's take a look at the updated prediction league since last week. So as you can see, I've had a pretty decent start to the season. I'm currently sat third in the prediction league. Still with Hugo Farmer leading the way though with 46 points at the moment, so that's the target to reach. Dylan Taylor is currently leading League 1 with 35 points to his name, and then Callum C is currently leading League 2 with 33 points to his name. Very congested here in and around this part of the table, and a lot of you guys just outside the prediction league at the moment, so make sure to get your predictions down below in today's video. But without any further ado, let's jump into this one. So we're starting today's video out with a couple of derby matches, starting out with Cardiff going up against Bristol City. Very interested to see which way you guys are going for this one. Now, bit of a blow for Cardiff coming into this match is the fact that Sean Morrison is a doubt after picking up an injury in midweek in the Carabao Cup. Obviously that's going to be quite the blow, but the one individual battle in this game which I can't wait to see is Aidan Flint going up against Chris Martin. Currently Aidan Flint's won the most aerial duels this season in the Championship, and Chris Martin is second in that regard, so that's going to be such an interesting physical battle at the back. You know, can Aidan Flint pop up to haunt his former side in this one and get another goal? I wouldn't be all too surprised. Both defences have looked fairly susceptible so far this season. There's only one clean sheet that's been kept between these two sides so far this season. Bristol City obviously, they've got a little bit unlucky in their last game against Swansea. They created a fair few amount of chances in that game, but ultimately couldn't get anything over the line. For a score prediction in this one, I think I would just maybe give the edge to Cardiff. I think they look a little bit more sure of themselves and what they're doing at the moment. So for a prediction, I'm just going to edge the home side Cardiff for a 2-1 victory, but in a derby like this, anything's possible. I remember Brownhill scoring a worldie in this fixture a couple seasons ago. I'm going to go 2-1 Cardiff though. FIFA's going 1-0 Cardiff. And then coming up as the second early kickoff on Saturday, it's the big one for the weekend. It's Derby going up against Nottingham Forest, and I'm so fascinated to see the outcome of this match because so much is riding on this one from both teams' perspectives. Obviously, from Nottingham Forest point of view, it's been an absolutely dismal start to the season. Should they go into this first international break at bottom of the table on 0 points, serious pressure is going to be on Utd. I mean, it already is, but does, you know, he recover from that and get the chance to guide Forest out of this run of form? I'm not so sure. It feels like a bit of a now or never moment for Utd at Forest. Now, the last 3 league meetings between these two sides have all ended as 1-1 draws, and a cagey sort of tense affair here with not all too much goal-mouth action wouldn't surprise me. Forest obviously now have James Garner to come into the equation, who actually scored in this fixture last season, and they've also just completed the loan signing of Max Lowe on loan for this season. Obviously previously played for Derby. If he's involved from the get-go from this one, I mean, that's going to be an interesting reception that he's going to get back at Derby for this one, isn't it? From Derby's point of view, they have kept back-to-back clean sheets now in the Championship, so have been keeping things tight. If Forest are going to get a goal in this one, it's going to come from a bit of individual brilliance because they have those players who are capable of creating something from nothing. It's just that the system doesn't really allow them to be getting into those positions enough. For a score prediction in this game, I think Derby are probably coming into this one as the favourites given the start to the season. But I think I am going to go with history here, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. FIFA is backing Forest for a 1-0 away victory. It's going to be a big game. Next then to the Saturday 3 o'clock kickoffs, we've got Barnsley going up against Birmingham at Oakwell in what is quite a tough game to predict, to be honest with you. Barnsley have been a little bit all over the place so far this season. We've seen loads of different characteristics from this team under Marcus Schopp. In the 2 home matches that they had so far, they played pretty well against Luton and ended up losing, and then they probably didn't have their best performance against Coventry, but ended up winning that one. Obviously they had a great first 45 minutes against QPR, but that game ultimately ended as a 2-2 2-2 draw. They've been a lot of fun, Barnsley, so far this season. I think we'll get more of the same coming into this one. Now, Birmingham, I've probably underestimated so far this season in my predictions, actually, but on the road especially, they've looked really good. Obviously, they got that opening day win at Bramall Lane, 1-0 against Sheffield United, and last time absolutely blew Luton away by 5-0. The key battle in this game looks like it's gearing up to be Chong versus Styles. That's going to be such an intriguing battle between two of the real sort of standout players so far this season. You know, Chong especially, I've really liked the look of Birmingham. I think he's a perfect blend into that side at the moment and gives them a little bit of a different edge in the final third. I don't think Birmingham are going to lose this one, but are they going to have enough to get through Barnsley? Potentially, but Barnsley can be so off and on that it really depends which side shows up for this one. I'm going to play it safe. I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. FIFA's going 1-0 Birmingham. Should be a good game of football, that one. Next then to Craven Cottage, we got a big clash at the top of the table. Both sides currently on 10 points. It's Fulham going up against Stoke now. I don't think there's going to be all too much to separate these two coming into this one. Fulham potentially have a few players missing from this one with Carvalho and Tete, both potential injury doubts coming into this one. If that is the case, maybe that swings in favour of Stoke, but Fulham obviously have Harry Wilson to come back into the equation after he's now served 3 games of that suspension. So yeah, Fulham's forward line up against that Stoke back 3, which we've praised so much so far this season, is going to be such an intriguing battle for this one, isn't it? I think most people do fancy Fulham to be the stronger side in the Championship this season, you know, along with West Brom especially. Them two sides have really looked outstanding, but if Stoke can really put a fight up in this game and even beat Fulham, that really opens up the equation at the top of the Championship. Obviously, if this goes the other way and Fulham completely blitz Stoke away, then maybe we've got a problem and we might have 2 runaway leaders in the Championship this season. But I don't think there's going to be all too much in this one. But maybe Fulham just edge this one with home advantage. I'm going to go 2-1 Fulham, although a draw wouldn't surprise me. FIFA is going to go with the upset though and go 1-0 Stoke. Should be a good game, that one. Next then we go to Huddersfield up against Reading. Now the injuries really are starting to accumulate for this Reading squad. Tom McIntyre will be the latest player to be facing a lengthy spell on the sidelines, which is quite the concern for what is already a fairly thin squad. You know, they need to start getting a few more bodies in through the door, but obviously with their current financial situation, it's a little bit tricky. Now Huddersfield, I'm still yet to be like blown away by them this season, but they're picking up results at the moment, to be fair to them. You know, they've won their last 2 in different circumstances to how we usually associate sort of Huddersfield with playing. It's been a bit of a grind these last 2 matches, but they picked up 6 points and you really can't have too many complaints about that. I think that in each of those last 2 matches that they've won, they've had like less than 50% possession. You know, usually when Corbron first came in at Huddersfield, it was all about sort of like building up the play and stuff like that, but they've been a bit more of sort of like a counter-attacking threat lately, and it seems to fit the players that they've got at the moment. You know, Josh Koroma got off the mark with that win against Sheffield United last time out, and with the players that Reading are missing at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if they fall to another defeat in this one. I'm going to go 2-1 Huddersfield in this game, I think, with FIFA going for a goalless draw. Next day we go to Hull up against Bournemouth. Now Bournemouth have had a week to forget, I think it would be fair to say. They were 2-0 up against Blackpool last time. That game ultimately ended as a 2-2 draw, and then midweek they lost 6-0 against Norwich. And I know that they made a lot of changes for that game, but regardless, it's never good for morale when you're losing the game 6-0, is it? They're coming into this game against Hull though with a good chance of bouncing back. Hull have lost their last 3 matches without scoring a goal in the process. Hull need a little bit of a regroup, I feel like, over this next international break. Get some of those players who are currently out injured back into the squad and reintegrated back into the team. You know, Wilkes has been a miss lately, but probably most so far this season has probably been Honeyman in midfield for them. He was brilliant for them in League One last season. We've not yet seen him in the Championship due to an injury. So without those players, once again, I do feel like Bournemouth should have the quality to get through this one. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Bournemouth win for this one, and FIFA is going to agree with me. Next then we go to Luton up against Sheffield United in what is a pretty tough match to predict this weekend, to be honest with you. Now usually Luton are a pretty safe bet for what you come to expect in the Championship, but they're obviously coming off the back of a shock 5-0 loss against Birmingham. They're going up against a Sheff United side who has a lot of quality on paper in their squad, but they got off to an absolute disaster of a start to the season, and they're currently only sat on 1 point. Now for Sheff United, there have been a few more positive signs recently, although they did lose that game late on against Huddersfield in quite disappointing circumstances. In terms of the performance level, there were a few more signs of encouragement in terms of chances created in the final third and stuff like that. Nope, none of their strikers have particularly sort of like nailed down a starting spot so far this season. None of them have really covered them in glory so far, but you feel like it'll be just a matter of time before things finally do click for Sheff United. Obviously, they did win in midweek in the Carabao Cup, which, I mean, I know it's not, you know, anything to write home about or anything like that, but at least it starts the process of building a little bit of confidence within that side and stuff like that. So, yeah, this one's a really tough match to predict, to be honest with you. I think I'm going to sit on the fence for this one and go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1. Luton will be keen to bounce back from that disappointment last time, but Sheffield United we're still a little bit unsure about. So yeah, I'll go 1-1. FIFA's going 2-0 Sheff United. Next then to the Riverside, we have Middlesbrough going up against Blackburn Rovers. Middlesbrough especially a side who I expect should be doing a little bit of business in these final few days of the transfer window. It's been a couple frustrating results for them recently. A goalless draw with Derby last time out, and then before that they obviously lost that game 3-2 up against QPR. Now this is going to be another tricky game because Blackburn have been pretty good on the road so far this season. Their play style seems to suit playing away. You know, they're quite happy to sit in and then hit teams on the counter-attack. 4 points so far from their 2 away matches. They won 2-1 at Forest in their last away match. Obviously did lose to West Brom, their first loss of the season, but I think we can all excuse that. You know, West Brom are a very good side. Middlesbrough's history against Blackburn also doesn't reflect great on them in terms of the recent meetings between these two sides. Middlesbrough have only won 1 of their last 12 matches up against Blackburn, and I can't help but feel like some of those players that Blackburn are going to have on the break for this one could cause this Borough side some problems. This one really could go either way, and I'm quite 50-50 on it really. I could go for a draw, but I think, you know what? I'm just going to edge Blackburn maybe for this one. I'm going to go 2-1 Blackburn with FIFA going 0-0. Next up we then go to the Den as 2 of the winless sides so far this season go up against each other in search of that first 3 points. It's Millwall going up against Blackpool, and a good opportunity here for either side to properly get off the mark heading into this first international break. Now, on paper, Millwall, to be fair to them, have had a pretty tough start to the season. Every side that they've played so far are currently in the top 10 of the Championship. Obviously, this is going to be a different game against Blackpool this time, who also, you know, given credit to, have also had a pretty tough start to the season on paper with the sides they faced. That last game, that 2-2 comeback, really quite good result actually. You know, at half time for that one, I thought that Bournemouth would absolutely go and run away with it, but they showed a bit of backbone and resilience to get back into that one. It's a tough one to split because there's not been much between them so far this season. I think I am just swaying towards Millwall potentially having that home advantage. It's a big game, this one, regardless of the result, because no team wants to go into that first international break having not won any matches so far. You know, it leaves a bit of doubt in the back of your mind for the next 2 weeks in that case. For a score prediction in this one, a draw wouldn't surprise me, but I'm just going to edge Millwall for a 1-0, I think, in this game. FIFA's going for a 0-0 draw, which also wouldn't massively surprise me. Coming up next, we then go to Deepdale. We got Preston going up against Swansea. Now, these two sides have sort of mirrored each other so far this season. Neither of them got off to a particularly great start to the season. We then both got our first league wins of the season last week, and in midweek in the Carabao Cup we each scored 4 goals, which you'd think would be a bit of a confidence booster coming into this one. Obviously Morgan Whittaker scored a hat-trick in Swansea's midweek game, and Emil Rees scored a brace for Preston, so you'd think that would give a bit more confidence in the spring in their step to some of the forward options coming into this one. Joe Perot I'm also excited to see for Swansea. He obviously got that goal which won it for them last time against Bristol City. I don't think there'll be all too much in it between these two sides. It's a bit of a clash of styles here. Preston's still expected to go with that sort of wing backs and 5 at the back system. Swansea will look to hold on to the ball for this one. Midfield battle's going to be quite intriguing. I thought that Preston actually, we got the balance spot on last time against Peterborough in the middle with Ryan Ledson, who scored a worldie in midweek by the way, Ben Whiteman and Daniel Johnson. 1 goal either way wouldn't surprise me, but I think I'm going to sit on the fence for this one and go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 with FIFA going 1-0 Swansea. Next then we go to QPR up against Coventry for potentially one of the most entertaining games of the weekend. Both sides have started out the season really well. They're both currently sat inside the top 6 for the season. Coventry, if you watched yesterday's video, actually have some really quite promising underlying numbers for the season so far. Along with West Brom, they've averaged the most shots per 90 in the league so far this season, and I do think we'll get a fair few goals scored in this one actually. I think it'll be quite an open game, both teams really wanting to go for this one, obviously. Coventry won their game last time out against Reading in like the 98th minute, and QPR got back into proceedings against Barnsley after stoppage time as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of late drama in this match as well, to be honest with you. I think there'll be goals here, but I don't think there'll be all too much to separate these two. I'm going to go for a dramatic 2-2 draw, with FIFA going for a 1-1 draw between these two sides. Should be a really good game, that one. And then as the last game of the weekend, we have Peterborough going up against West Brom. Now, all of Peterborough's points so far this season have come at home, all 4 of their points with a win and a draw at home so far this season, and so they'll be hoping that that trend can continue into this week, but it's going to be incredibly tough against a very good West Brom side, as they've shown so far this season. Now, one of Peterborough's potential vulnerabilities that we've seen so far this season is them defending sort of long balls and crosses coming into the box. Cardiff were quite successful with swinging a few balls into the box against them, and my side Preston was as well. It was Patrick Bauer in the end who obviously scored that header. Pim in net for Peterborough seems to be like a good shot stopper, but actually coming out and claiming balls when he perhaps should do a little bit more. That could potentially be an area that West Brom look to exploit for this one. You know, it's chaotic football. They're going to look to throw a lot of long balls into the box and stuff like that. Obviously, they've recently completed the signing of Jordan Hugill, which stylistically, I think he'll be a decent fit for West Brom, to be honest with you. They will be without Callum Robinson for this one, who is having to isolate, which is a bit of a blow. Been really impressed with Robinson so far this season, but even with his absence, I think West Brom still probably have too much for Peterborough in an attacking sense. Score prediction, going to go 3-1 West Brom for this game, with FIFA going 1-0 Peterborough. But guys, there we have it there, all my score predictions for this weekend's championship action. As always, make sure to get all your thoughts in the comments down below. Get your score predictions in there and get yourself entered onto the prediction league. Well, apart from that though guys, that will wrap it up for today's video. As always, if you did go to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stay tuned for some regular championship content. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.